Welcome to Choosing to Matter Cocktails with Chris, a space for open, honest, and unhurried conversations. In today's episode, we sit down with someone who's shaping our world with purpose and passion. I'm your host, Chris Lubkeman. Join me as we explore how our guest has chosen and chooses to matter. Cynthia, it's fantastic to be with you today here at the Schweitzer Hof Hotel in the podcast Choosing to Matter, being able to talk about a bit of an arc of your choices on how to matter.
Thank you.
It's great to be here. Now, you have a favorite cocktail which we asked you to prepare, and so what is it?
So my favorite cocktail is a sake-tini.
What is that?
It's actually like a martini but made with sake. But it has to be the right sake. It has to be dry, it has to be nice quality, not like sticky sweet, but they don't always have it. So we ran into this issue where they didn't have the sake today.
Okay, not today, but
Not
I
today.
promise the next time.
Next time.
Next time we're here, they will have sake. Is there a certain brand that you
Pre-order.
like better than others?
Oh, I'm not so good with that.
Okay.
This has to be dry. Someone
dry.
else can choose it. That's okay.
And so what do we have today? And as a replacement? As a close second?
So I never order things strictly off the menu. So this is a Cosmo, but it's a Cosmo that is less sweet because I'm not into the sticky sweet cocktails. So you have to give it a try.
Well,
Cosmo.
let's give
not
it a
so
try
sweet.
and see. It's a very beautiful pink.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And here's to a beautiful day.
Oh, that's nice. You can taste the cranberry. Day after Thanksgiving, cranberry.
Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to a good day. All right. Oops, I got to drink. Otherwise, that's not good.
Bad luck?
So, and why is the sakehito so your favorite?
Sake-tini.
Oh, God.
I could make a sakehito.
It probably could.
could
I'm sure you
invent
can
one.
make anything. We can make that one. But why is that your favorite drink?
Actually,
Your favorite cocktail?
A cocktail. I discovered those a long time ago when they were first starting to kind of become popular. And I had actually gone on a business trip to Washington, D.C., and I went to this amazing club restaurant thing that like Friends in the Know took me to. And it was very like white and minimalist, and they were projecting things on the wall, and they had this cool cocktail called a sake-tini. And I went back and told my husband about this.
Yeah.
And probably a month later, they opened something that was exactly the same theme, like drag and drop, in Seattle, where we were living. And then that became one of our go-to places, and it was very fun.
Oh, that's so fun. That's a great story. So it's a discovery and a shared thing. If someone's going to describe you as a cocktail, what do you think they would describe Cynthia Hansen?
Oh, I've never been asked that.
Well, finally a question. That,
Probably something with dryness and bite and levity at the same time. Can't be heavy, but has to have a little bit of a tang to it. A little surprise.
I like that. We'll see if we can't come up with something.
Invent
So
one.
the next time we see you, then we can have that in.
We'll give it a good name.
But why would you use the dry and the tank? Why would you use each other? Because you were thinking about that.
Yeah.
Why would you? Tell me a bit.
I think early in my career, there were a lot of assumptions that being a woman, being not white, being small, because I am relatively small, that there would be this kind of being, pliant and willing to go along with everything and kind of sweetness and light. And I think that there's goodness in that, but that's maybe not enough. And so I think there has to be some steel and some grit underneath.
Yep.
And so I think hopefully I've come up with some balance of the sweetness, because the sweetness is the humanity part, but also the grit underneath.
The hard, be able to react. I'll say a strong reaction, and still be yourself.
Yeah. Because also I think there's a sense of being able to look at the bigger picture and the greater good and make the decisions that need to be done, which are they're not always easy, and they can be really difficult on a personal level. but if they need to be done in order to accomplish something that is more important, or more important that's going to impact more people, then ultimately those things have to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. So you didn't just drink your way through life. You've worked very hard to get to where you are. So who are you?
Oh, I think I am at heart a person. I'm a parent, I'm a partner. I think those human things are really important. At the same time, I would hope I'm a thinker and a galvanizer of people, because it can't be something I do alone. So I hope I'm also someone who gathers good people along the way and can mobilize them, not necessarily for what I want, but maybe for what we collectively want.
It's a beautiful description. Not an easy thing to balance, all those aspects. I can imagine, as we go through our different choices, as we move through life, how we make those different bits all balance out. It's not so easy. So what is it that you do today?
So I now run the Innovation Foundation, empowered by the Adecco Group. So it's the global corporate foundation of the Adecco Group, but it's really not like any other corporate foundation, really in the world, as far as we can find. So most corporate foundations will take money from the company that's been gifted and then distribute it, so through grants or sponsorships or other kinds of things. But in setting up the foundation at the Adecco Group, I thought that was an opportunity to really play with kind of how far could you push the boundaries of corporate philanthropy? And as corporate philanthropy has been evolving, how could you come up with something really different that would perhaps create more impact, different impact, and then give people another option? So this is what we've really been doing, and the Innovation Foundation is not following the typical path, but really seeing how we can go in a different direction.
So for those who don't know, Adecco is...
So it's one of the largest human resources solutions companies in the world. So it's everything to do with work, from the beginning to the end. It's part-time, full-time, temporary, permanent, high-level, low-level, reskilling, retraining, replacing, everything. So the strapline of the company is making the future work for everyone. So it's really everyone. But we've been talking a lot in my team about what do we mean by everyone, and who's the slice of everyone that tends to get missed out. So in setting up the foundation, we basically made sure that we would focus on the part of everyone that tends to be left out, the underserved populations. So we can talk about everyone, and that it's about how do we identify people who are falling out of or in danger of falling out of the workforce, and then figure out how to get them back in and kind of reconnect the pipes. So not recreate the good stuff that's out there, but really figure out how to connect people who want to work with employers who want to need them.
And that's both so at a local level but international, because I believe you're looking internationally, not just in Europe, not just in the United States, but all over the world.
All over the world. So actually we're the only global foundation that the Adecco Group has. So we as a company have 5 national foundations also, who are all separate entities, and they all focus on their own local markets. So Spain, Italy, France, Germany, the U.S. And they don't roll up to me. We work very much in collaboration. But as the global foundation, we can work anywhere, including where the Adecco Group doesn't have a footprint. Which actually is really, it means that we're really free to go to where the need is, and also go to the right places to build something that would scale to anywhere else. And that's a lot of freedom.
That's really cool. That's good. It's really great. So do you think it was fate or design that brought you to this role?
Probably both, maybe a bit of luck. So
okay, tell me more about that.
I think it's also the ability to not shy away from opportunities. So it's kind of the mix of all those things. So I think I was coming from the World Economic Forum, where I had a great run, was able to have 6 different roles in 9 years, and was looking for something that would bring me back closer to the ground. because the World Economic Forum does great work, but for the most part they're not the on-the-ground partners, and I missed that from previous work. So it was a combination of looking for things on the ground, thinking about where my skills might be needed and I could add value, and then looking at what were the unusual kinds of jobs that were popping up. So either by design, like drop into a place and create your new role, or look for a role that had enough latitude where you could build something. And actually this ended up being the latter. So it popped up on LinkedIn.
No way.
Yeah, so I saw it on LinkedIn, and then I started contacting people I knew within the Adecco Group to say, like, how rigid is this? How structured, or how much latitude is there to build something really cool and play? And it was worth the risk that, you know, because it was new, that they would be open to new ideas and letting me kind of build something and test and try. And it speaks well of the board that they really let me do that.
Sure. That's fantastic. And as you say, so it always takes a board to accept change, but also it takes a family to accept change.
True.
How did that work?
That was a bit of a bumpy ride, but I think we ended up in a good place. So my kids were born in Geneva. Okay. They loved Geneva. And
fluent in French?
So, yes, completely fluent in French, and now in German, happily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So when we moved here, we made the choice to put them into the lycée français, so they would keep the French, and it's a bilingual French and German, added the German, so now the kids are fully trilingual, and that couldn't have happened elsewhere. But again, when they're 4 and 7, what they cared about was, you know, we're leaving our friends, we're leaving our house, we're leaving our nanny, we're leaving what they knew.
The nest.
The nest, right, to come to something they didn't know. And moving from, you know, a school of 100 kids to a school of 1,100 kids was enormous. And so all those things changed. But in the end, now, when we talk about this, of course, they've still missed Geneva and they have this fondness for Geneva. But they're really happy here. They have friends, they have a great network, they have freedom. You know, they can go on the train, on the tram, they can go places on their own. There's a lot more to do. So in the end, I think everybody agrees this is a pretty good place to be. Yeah,
and that was those changes allowed you also have the freedom, but probably emotionally, intellectually, to build up the foundation.
Right. I think without the support of the family, that wouldn't have been possible.
So when you were 16, what did you think you were going to do?
Oh, that's a really pivotal age. So that was when I had my first job.
At 16?
At 16, like first paid job.
Wow.
And I thought I was going to be a veterinarian.
A veterinarian? Big or small animals?
It didn't matter, probably small.
Yep.
So I had wanted this since I could remember. And I had done a little work study when I was about 10 to see what it was like to work in a vet hospital. And then my first actual paying job was to run the front office of a veterinary hospital.
Wow.
And I liked lots of aspects of that, and what was so eye-opening was I did not like running the front office of a small business. And it made me realize, like, that's scary. It's a lot of paperwork. It was a lot of, everything was manual, little manual bookkeeping that I learned, which was great at 16. But also this idea of being fully responsible for your own business and having to track all of the billing and the paperwork and the relationships and the insurance and all that was daunting.
Interesting.
And that was the part that I had never seen.
Yeah, sure.
And was really good to know.
Interesting. And
so I decided I was not going to be a veterinarian.
Well, you're not, and you're also one of the largest. She said one of the largest get people back to work organizations. So you've avoided that one.
No. Yeah, definitely not. Much as I love animals, I'm glad that I actually was not a veterinarian.
Yeah. And where did you grow up?
So I grew up on the West Coast of the U.S., having been adopted from Korea into the U.S. My parents are both Caucasian. My sister, who is also adopted, is black. We're this very interesting mixed family. On the West Coast, that was maybe a little bit less unusual than in other places, though in the series of small towns, which were very wide, where we lived, it was pretty unusual. And that alone was a really good experience as well. I think my sister and I ended up kind of educating people a lot everywhere we went as kids, because that was our reality, and we were happy to share it with,
builds
with other
resilience
people.
too.
Yeah, and we moved a lot as well.
Okay.
So we moved. I think I went to something like 5 different schools as I was growing up. So a lot of moving.
Wow.
which is, also resilience.
Yeah, that's. And so at 16, you wanted to be a vet.
Yes, I did, for a short time.
Until you got the job.
Yes.
And then you said, don't like that one.
No, not so
Then
much.
what happened then?
Yeah. So then I did other kind of student jobs. I worked in a coffee shop. I was a barista. But actually what was great was I actually ended up in a summer and then for a winter break cleaning rooms at a convalescent hospital. Just because it was they had an ad in the paper and I answered the ad. I thought, well, that's an interesting experience. And that was, again, one of the most kind of pivotal experiences of my life because I was working alongside a really interesting collection of actually mostly women. My boss at that time had worked for many years, I don't know, 15 years or so, on an assembly line. And then had moved over to be a supervisor of the cleaners in this convalescent hospital. There was an immigrant woman, I think from Korea as well. There was a young woman who had just finished high school, was training to be a nursing assistant, was doing this on the side. So people from different walks of life.
Yeah.
And to also figure out what I liked about that job, what I didn't like about that job. I didn't particularly like the cleaning. I did like the interaction with people.
Interesting.
I liked the interaction with older people. There was a guy that they called Dr. King. He had 5 PhDs.
No way.
And he was fascinating. And was like very with it. He must have been 90 or so.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was, again, really eye-opening.
Then the leap to Geneva? There's a bit in between there.
Yes,
right?
yes. University, other kinds of jobs, all kinds of things. And I think another pivotal moment was I taught in Japan. And I thought
Taught English?
Taught English in Japan for the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. Thought I would then go to grad school, study comparative literature, become a professor. I had this all this was my
mapped out
plan. Yeah. Didn't get into grad school because I hadn't done a master's at that point, and I applied straight to PhD programs, thinking, I can do this. I couldn't do this. So changed the plan completely. Yeah. Which was actually really good because I'm not sure that would have made me happy.
Yeah.
And so then coming back from Japan, instead I went into international education. And that was great. And international education led to then international teacher exchange, which led to international professional exchange, which led to this whole interest in citizen diplomacy.
Interesting.
And so that all was great, but not at all what I would have thought at 16 or even at 25. It all changed along the way, but it was these opportunities that were presented, and then being able to think about what would be good and what would be the learning out of taking that chance and doing something different.
It's fascinating because there's a thread of people.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Which goes through all of those.
Yeah.
And then the interaction with people.
Yeah.
That it's a rich one, and the internationality.
Very much.
Right, how that came in, because you yourself embody internationality.
Yeah, true.
Literally throughout your childhood, and diversity in a very deep and meaningful way, in an authentic way. So if we think about the future, like let's take a jump and think about the future, because you've chosen to work in a domain which is really looking to help people's lives, to help them have a better life. This is something you've chosen to do. And so in the foundation. So when you look at the future, what do you see?
I see, I hope, that there will be better integration of people. There will be more access. And one of the things we've talked a lot about in the foundation is that if the future is going to have a more inclusive workforce, that actually there has to be a greater degree of agency. People need to be able to make choices and drive their futures and drive their careers in a way that isn't necessarily taught or rewarded or enabled right now. So that's what I would hope the future has. But then there's this huge leap between where we are now and what that might look like, and then what the steps are in between. And this is a lot of what we're trying to sort out in the foundation. Like, what are the big things that need to move in order to create that better future? And part of it is designing with and for people, but then also looking at how the solutions we create scale, and then how you create systems change off of that. Because just in the case of youth at risk, just changing things for young mothers in Mexico City is not enough, right? So take what we learned in Mexico City, and now we've scaled that one across 19 cities in Mexico.
Wow.
You didn't even know this because this is new.
I know.
And now we actually just got the green light from the board to scale that into Brazil next year.
Wow, fantastic.
And then we'll have more of that proof of concept, and then we'll look at how else you can scale through other models, other partners, other ways to take that learning and that solution out into other populations too. So I think a lot of it is that one worked because we designed with people on the ground and did lots of testing on the ground and haven't grown too fast. And then you're enabling people to take control of their lives, and then ideally they will model that for their children and for others, and you create that ripple effect.
And it creates a multi-generational impact.
Yes.
Which you're after, I can just see through your smile. It makes you super excited
really
about
excited.
that. Yeah, that's really cool. I think. And so when you think about the world with your children, how many children do you have?
2.
You have 2.
Girl and boy.
A girl and a boy. When you think about the world which they're going to walk into, how does that make you feel? How do you feel about that?
So actually we talk about this a lot as a family too, because I've got third culture kids. They have American passports, but they've never lived in the U.S. They are half white and half not white. Girl and boy, they're going to be treated differently in the world. And so looking at the world, I would hope that it's moving in a direction where you're going to go more toward valuing individuals and valuing the whole basket of skills and competencies and experiences that people bring, and that idea of shifting toward skills-based hiring, which is a long way off. But I hope that their world will be more personalized, but in a positive way. Not like I want this when I want it, but rather valuing the individual and how the individual fits in the ecosystem.
And give me an idea of what those conversations with your kids are like. I'm kind of curious. It's just, are they asking questions? Are they getting challenged, or what kinds of things do you guys
my daughter was in a speech contest last year through her school, and then she ended up being a finalist, which is very cool. And her speech was about assumptions and stereotypes, and what she was experiencing as a young woman who was not white in Switzerland. And there were stories that came out that I had never heard from her. And so it opened up all these opportunities to talk about how she was being seen and how she presented herself and what the assumptions were that people were making. And she's got the interesting situation where because she has a mixed kid, many people don't realize she's Asian. And so it was this kind of, she can almost play both sides. She can be Asian when she wants and maybe not when she doesn't, which gives her a different perspective. And we talked about that as well.
That's fascinating. That's really good, because I'm just curious when we think about the future, what excites us and what challenges us, and also for the next generations, because it's their future.
Very much.
You and I will be gone when they're our age.
Yeah. But there are so many things that they already take for granted, that everyone thinks about climate change, everyone thinks about whether you recycle that cup or not, but they're in a bubble here. And so again, when we go back to the U.S., it's very different. And there are things that we have to talk about when we go back to the U.S. as well, about people's perceptions are different, you will be seen differently, don't be confrontational, things like that they just don't think about here.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you've made the choice to be the CEO of this, and how do you make those choices of what you choose to do to matter?
The choice to take that position, or the choice of what to do with it, or both?
A bit of both, and daily life as well. Like, how do you make those choices?
I think ultimately the choice making needs to be about looking holistically at things, but also not getting so wrapped up in trying to understand every eventuality. That at some point you just draw the line and make a decision and move forward. And with this one, I did quite a lot of looking, probably about a year before leaving the World Economic Forum, to figure out what was the next step. And talking to a lot of people, I've got some great mentors, and figuring out what I wanted to do next that would matter. And it all came down to purpose and what really matters. And And I decided that actually having run things within big organizations and then run parts of smaller organizations, what would be really exciting would be to really run a whole organization. And this is actually a bit of both, because it is its own separate legal entity, but then it's very much tied to the group. And so it's been kind of an interesting dance to figure out, like how close are we to the group, and how far, like arm's length are we, and what suits both parties at different points.
Yeah.
We got asked the other day, like why we have the different branding, and because you will remember when we went through that rebranding, and it was really about creating enough arm's length that we could do innovative stuff over here without feeling like we were either causing risk to the company or potentially being hampered by the brand as a company. The other thing was that at that time there were companies and their foundations that were being criticized for being too close.
Yeah.
So it looked like the foundation was doing the work of the companies. We wanted to make sure, especially as we were experimenting with something new, that it didn't look like that and wouldn't cast aspersions. And in the end, I think having that different brand has been really, really good. And it also gives me that sense of like really being the head of something that is quite separate, where you can build something good and make decisions. And of course we have the board above us, which is excellent. But there's just a bit more autonomy there.
Yeah, which is good, because you need that. And your constellation, what you were looking for, in order for you to do the things you want to do, you need that. So, what inspires you?
I think I'm inspired when I see change really happening. So it's not like a person necessarily, but change that happens. So I was making this analogy the other day between skills-based hiring, which is kind of the wave that's coming, right, we hope, and where sustainability was, say, 20, 25 years ago, or even less, when it was something people were talking about, and that, it's good and it matters and we'll get there, but nobody really knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And now there's so much structure, there are so many guidelines. It's now, in order to be a going concern, companies have to have that in, and and then it's much more integrated and just woven into the how and why we do business. And so I would hope that skills-based hiring will be the same. But what gives me the hope and the inspiration is something that seemed insurmountable 20 years ago now is table stakes. And so I think it is possible, and that gives me inspiration.
I think that's really cool. And is there a book that you have that was significant on your journey that inspired you to make some of the choices which you've made?
Oh, that's a really good question. There are lots of books that I've liked for different reasons. I tend to like books that have really beautiful descriptions and that kind of pull you into a scene, but then raise bigger issues.
Okay.
So I just read one called The Covenant of Water. Have you read that?
No, I have not.
So it's really interesting. It's about actually a very small community in India. There was a real community in south of India, but it's told through the lens of one particular family and kind of their relationship with water, and there's sort of an illness that runs through the family. But then around it explains all of the things that were happening in India geopolitically. It starts from like the early 1900s, but all the geopolitical changes. There were like insurgencies as well. There was the crackdown of the government. There was the rise of women. So one of the characters is a woman who then grows up and goes to medical school. And so I really love things like that tell an inspiring story through people, but in the context of what's happening in the world around it.
Interesting. That's a beautiful story, because I like the way you talk about this in a way just to try to understand the context of change. So what you just described was a context of change.
Yeah,
and you're
right.
also trying to, through your work,
Yeah.
look at the context of change to make the context so change can happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also, so I think what came out really nicely in that was small things that individuals did that ended up having bigger consequences. So there's this whole theme that runs through it about leprosy. and about the treatment of leprosy and how leprosy was really misunderstood. And until like a couple of people made changes, just completely different changes about how they dealt with people with leprosy. And then that ended up creating social change around it. I love that idea of like individuals as a lever to create bigger change.
I like that because very often we get overwhelmed, or very often I get overwhelmed with thinking some of the things are so big, no one person can ever do anything.
True.
Right? But you're just indicating it's true. Those small actions matter.
Exactly.
Right? And they can add up to bigger actions every day, which is great. So if I look to the future, you said about, I'm going to come back to my future theme again.
Future.
Sorry, I just can't avoid it. You know,
I love it.
Your focus is on people. Are there also technologies or trends which you feel or have seen that you kind of go, that's really cool?
Yes, all the time. All the
Okay.
time. So experimenting lots with AI. What I've been working on actually with Sharina, and very much to Sharina's credit, is looking at how AI can be harnessed to put together different combinations that people might not have thought of that will then kind of spark human ingenuity and human creativity. So not to replace innovation or creativity, but rather to put things together in order that in ways that people wouldn't necessarily think of. So we've been playing with this idea, rudimentary idea of a slot machine. So like you pull a lever and the slot machine comes up with things. But if you could actually feed an LLM or some system with things that would kind of point it toward different combinations of things that would overlap something like gender, geography, education level, and access to work. And it would actually pull different dimensions that you might not have thought of related to those things and then put them together in different combinations, such that a person can say, I didn't think about how that related to that.
Sure.
Let's play around with
So
it.
it's almost like a serendipity engine.
Oh, have you given it a name now?
It's kind of what you're trying to
I like
create.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's trying to serendipity, because in serendipity we know is the mother or the whatever of innovation always.
Right.
Right. You see it as a challenge or serendipity or challenge. You know, there's very two poles with that. You know.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's intriguing.
Yeah, I really like this. This is something I'm very excited about because it's the opposite of the way generative AI is being used in so many contexts, which is basically to take away the things that people don't want to do anymore. And so if you could instead use it to seed things that people do want to do, I think that's an interesting way to think of it.
I like that. I'm curious to see some results.
Yes,
Actually,
we're going to play with it.
What that might look like. So what's next for Cynthia?
So I'm always looking at what we can do within kind of the boundaries of this foundation. And the part that I'm really excited about over the next year is how do we share what we do in a meaningful way? And we're playing around with, and is this through workshops? Is it through setting up some kind of academy? Is it, how do we do something that it's not just publishing a toolkit?
A report
there
or
are so
toolkit,
many, there are so many of those out there that they're good, but they're not enough. It's kind of the necessary but not sufficient idea, right?
Yeah.
So how could we actually, in a real way, introduce people to the way we do things so that then they could take those and pick it apart, take the parts that are useful for you, take it away, play with it, and use it. But if we could do it with a little bit of hand-holding or a little bit of unpacking, it would be much more meaningful than just saying, here's what we do, how do you want to do
Go for
it?
it, yeah. And be able to do that in a way which doesn't become too draining on resource, because at the end of the day, that's part of reality, is how you can share without the load.
Right. So we've played with things like training people to do things the way we do and then kind of sending them out in the world. Or if we created some kind of academy and brought people in for a stint of 6 months or a year, kind of like we do with the fellows, so that you'd get real world experience doing what we do and then could take that back out. But maybe that's not enough. We just need to think about how to do this in a way that's going to create the kind of impact that we want, without overburdening us, and also without pulling us off tracks. That's not the core of what we do, but it's basically a good half of what we do as we've set it up with the board.
So if we stand in 2050 and in a world which has changed, all right, with 3.2, basically 3 degrees C, right, and we look back, what's the world we're standing in there? Can you imagine? I mean, can you have any ideas what that might look like?
Ah, that's really good. I think between now and 2050, I think there are going to be some significant challenges. I mean, with the geopolitical situation now, the economic situation now, that we will go through multiple cycles. And then what I would hope is that there will be a self-correcting nature, because there's some stuff that is really kind of getting extreme, so that there will be a self-correcting nature, so that we'll still be ultimately making stair steps up. Maybe there will be a bit of a down and then coming back up. But what I hope is that there will be enough reflection among people who end up in leadership positions. And so that means that, future generations will have to be trained into this and rewarded into this, so that there will be a time for reflection about what are the consequences of the choices that we're making, and how does this fit into a bigger ecosystem. So it's not just me making a choice for my country or my company, but rather what are the effects of the choices that I make on everybody else, and how do I gather like-minded people to keep moving in a positive direction. That's the only thing I can hope. I don't think it's down to one person or even one pivotal event, but I hope that it continues in a positive direction, because otherwise you do have that overwhelm. Think about young people and attitudes toward climate change. We're all screwed, and there's nothing I can do, and I'll just sit back and feel terrible about it. And I think that's not
Which
enough.
is not, because this is your point which you made earlier, is a person can
do something
and
good.
as you said, one of your missions there is really trying to help individuals understand what agency is and what it can be, right? I mean, that's, I think, a very powerful, important message.
And just take some actions, take small actions, think about what the broader implications are, gather people around you.
And to do the things we can do, right? I think that's very much what, that's very, very important. So what should I have asked you that I have not asked you, Cynthia?
What is the secret to holding it all together? I don't have the answer.
So Cynthia, wait, I've got a great question for you. Cynthia, what's the secret to holding all of these threads? Mother, partner, take care of yourself, run a business, be part of a large corporation, deal with change that's sometimes baffling.
Yes.
What's the secret?
I think the secret is that you will never be perfect. Do what you can. Take the small actions. Don't sweat the small stuff. I got much better about this when I became a parent. There's so much stuff that is just never going to be perfect, and that ultimately doesn't really matter. Yeah. I keep back to the conversations with the kids, trying to figure out what really does matter and what really doesn't matter. And does it really matter that I don't know, that you went out the door without brushing your teeth today? In the long run, maybe, but not really. Yeah. So it's okay. You won't die if you don't brush your teeth today. I'd rather that you do.
Yes.
But it's those conversations, and I think that's ultimately, it's like figuring out what really matters and what doesn't matter, and trying to be okay letting go of the stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah. And just hoping I get it right in terms of what does matter. Yeah. There's a book, Don't Sweat the Small Things. I've heard of that, but I've never read it.
Oh my gosh.
Is it good?
It's awesome.
Okay. I'll look it up.
It's awesome. That's really just, based on what you've just shared, you will really appreciate it. And I think it's a really wonderful, wonderful book. It's a great message, too. Because it's a matter, not really if you brush your teeth in the morning, but, I see that. Yeah, I hear that very much so. I think, and, it is a balancing act. But when you were 16, you wanted to be a vet. When you were 20, what did you want to be?
When I was 20, I wanted to be a university professor.
A university professor. Then at 24?
24 was that pivot point when I didn't get into grad school, when I thought, I don't know what I want to do. At one point, I was going to be a costume designer, a theater costume designer.
A theater costume designer?
Because that was another path I could have taken. And so when the grad school thing didn't work out, I went back to theater as kind of an interim job while I figured out what else I wanted to do, and ended up working with people who actually were in or going into MFA programs in costume design. I thought, I would really like to do that. So I thought about that, seriously thought about that. And ultimately what made me not do that was I didn't want to be tied to a career where it was contract by contract. Yeah. It's just, what am I going to do next? Am I going to work? Am I not going to work? And at that point in my life, I'd had a lot of instability. I thought, I don't want more instability of that type. And I also thought, I love costume design. I love design in general. Would making that my career actually kill my love of it? And it might have.
Great question. So you could keep it your hobby. Love on the side, but you could find something else to pay the rent, so to say. Yeah.
Exactly. Same reason I didn't go into music for that reason.
Yeah.
So, because I was on a music scholarship for university, and decided not to go that route because I don't think I was actually good enough, but also it would have killed the passion.
And what were you playing?
Flute.
A flautist. A small one or a big one or all of them?
The medium size.
The medium sized one, not the.
I've played that. It's a totally different experience.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So you've had an incredible career.
Very.
Incredible journey from different places, different roles, and all those lessons to take along each time. If you look back, what do you think was the most important lesson that you carry with you to this day today, and where was it?
Probably a lesson inherited from my parents, which is just be true to what you believe, and hold that as your North Star, and that will set you on your path, and whatever else comes along, just follow that thing.
That's really cool. I learned from my parents, from both of them actually, that everyone has a story to tell.
Oh, I like that.
And it's up to you to find out the story. Up to me. Because they could always talk to anybody. In any line, anywhere.
Yeah.
There's always a conversation that happened. And as a young child, sometimes it's a bit cringeworthy, going, oh, Mom, really?
But what a skill.
It was an incredible skill. It was a gift to see that and to take that away, to learn about those stories. So Cynthia, if someone wants to know more about what you're doing, where do they go?
So you can go to the website, which is innovationfoundation.net.
.net, okay.
Yes, which is actually a subsidiary site of the Adecco Group, so you can find it through the Adecco Group as well. Super active on LinkedIn, so the Innovation Foundation has a really good LinkedIn page where we show a lot of video content and things. We have a YouTube channel. You didn't know this. We have a YouTube channel.
Well.
And we have a new Instagram page. So now we are fully social media'd up.
Look at you.
Thanks to Garrett and Lauren. This is not my doing. They're great.
That's great. Next, be starting using, anyway, that's what I'm going to say. I was going to say you start doing ChatGPT poetry.
I'd rather write my own poetry.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, not quite yet. So Cynthia, I want to thank you really tremendously, heartfelt thanks for joining me in the conversation around choices that matter. And we're all very lucky that you have made the choices you have made. And we're very grateful.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. And I want a toast.
Oh, yes.
To the beginning and the end of our drink with the, what is this again?
Cosmopolitan.
A Cosmo. To a positive future.
Thank you. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Cynthia. Thank you so much for listening today. It's really been a pleasure to share this story with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon and meeting our next guest. And as always, do something today that makes a difference in somebody's life. Choose to matter.